This is the Rusted Willow, and my name is Tammy. Let's get started on DIY number 1. Actually, I only have one DIY this time because it took me so long to paint. So, I painted this a long time ago. It's been sitting in my craft room for probably 2 years because I just didn't like it, and it was in desperate need of a makeover. I found this carry-on. I don't know what it's called. It's like a lingerie suitcase. I don't know. Anyway, I love it. It's in mint condition inside, and it's orange. I mean, how often do you come across an orange carry-on? I don't know what it's called. I don't know what this is called. If you know what this suitcase is called, leave it down in my description box, or leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments because I have no idea what this is called, honestly. I think it's, I know it's a woman's bag because it has nice little pockets and you can put your lingerie, your jewelry, your makeup, all that stuff. So maybe, I know it's not the makeup case. I just don't know. I think it's a lingerie bag. And look, I found some letters in there that spell out fall, glitter. Like, I have no idea how many years those have been in there, but at least 2, because that's how long this suitcase has been sitting in my craft room waiting for me to make it over. So it was very plain. I thought I'd just make it look like a pumpkin because it was already orange. There was no need for me to paint it orange. And yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't do a very good job, and I just didn't like it. So anyway, I am going to try and match the color. Now, I pulled out all my orange paint and it was all just way too bright. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to add some black to this orange paint. Well, I don't know if you know this, but black and orange make brown, not a darker orange. So what I really needed was like a touch of black, not that much black. But anyway, I mixed up this paint and I got this color brown, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just use it. And look at that match. It matches almost perfectly. So when I paint on the orange and then I go over it with the brown, it's like the perfect match. I'm like, what in the world? So that's what I do. I cover this whole thing. No, I do not cover the whole thing. I only cover the front where I had painted before. And I went ahead and sanded it, and I cleaned it really well. And I sanded it because when I painted on the letters, they were raised a little bit. I didn't want there to be any raised edges. So I painted over this whole, well, just the top where it was painted already, the orange, and then I went over it with the brown. And I did give this 2 coats. I didn't need to give it 2 coats in the whole, on the whole area, but I gave it like maybe 1.5 coats, honestly, because the bottom part is going to be covered up by other paint anyway. So. And I just wanted to show you when it dries, look at that color match. Like, it's amazing, guys. I cannot believe I matched it so well. I was so proud of myself. Okay, so now I take this pencil and I'm like, okay, I'm going to draw out my design just so I can, you know, get an idea of where I'm going to put my design. It kind of went okay, and I did get a design on there. Did I stay in the lines? No. Is anything proportioned to what I drew on here? No, absolutely not. So, there you go. But you'll see. It actually turns out pretty great in the end. I'm pretty proud of myself. I mean, I am not an artist by any means. And I probably used too big of a brush, but I had a lot of area to cover. So I'm using, the basting brush. What's it called? Where you want to cover a lot of area quickly. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it's not a basting brush because that's what you do with turkeys. All right, guys, today is Hello Fall. It's the Hello Fall collab, and Ellie and I host this once a quarter. And today, our guest host is Katie from Lady Red Crafting. If you have not seen Katie's channel yet, or Ellie's channel, please go over and check them out. Tell them Tammy sent you. And I will have the links to their channels as well as the link to the playlist listed down below in my description box and pinned in my comments. Okay, so I am just continuing to put down a base coat. Oh, maybe that's what they're called. Base coat paintbrushes? Where you put down a base coat? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just using a bigger brush so I can cover more area in a less amount of time. And that's all. So I am trying to make this look like a pumpkin, but then I'm like, okay, that needs to be bigger. One pumpkin has to be taller than the other. They cannot be the same. And then there goes my little indentation on the top. So, pumpkins kind of go in, but I'm like, that's okay because I can recreate that with shading. And I think I do okay. I think it could be better. But you'll have to let me know what you think, because right now it looks like a blue blob and a green blob, right? Okay, so now I'm painting the stems, and one stem I got right, and it looks fantastic. The other stem I should have left alone because I think it looks great now that I'm watching the video back, but I wasn't happy with it, and I actually ended up redoing it 3 times on the blue pumpkin, and then the white pumpkin turned out perfect the first time. So I can only paint 2 good pumpkins at a time. The third one just, I don't know. The one on the left just does not turn out. I guess maybe because I'm right-handed. I'm not sure. Anyway, I love the green pumpkin and how it turns out, and I love the white pumpkin and how it turns out. The blue pumpkin, it was difficult. It was very difficult. And being a perfectionist, it was extremely difficult for me. So there you go. All right, so I am just adding some shading with the brown color that I mixed up. Now, guys, this is very primitive. Like I said, I am not an artist. If you saw the Third Thursday Thrift Flip videos and watched that playlist, our guest host last week was Paintings for Profit by Terry, and she is an absolute artist. She can paint faces like nobody's business, and actually she can paint anything. I probably needed more colors because I literally only used 5 different colors on this suitcase. And I probably needed a lighter green and a bright white and some black. And I could have used more colors to shade in a little better, but I wasn't going for perfection here, even though I can be a perfectionist. I was just going for primitive because this is kind of the style I like when I'm painting stuff. So you have to let me know what you think. Now, see that stem on the white pumpkin? I got it right, like right away. I don't understand. It just came out perfect. But then this one, I don't know. I kept messing with it. And when you keep messing with it, it just gets bigger and bigger. And then you're like, what is that? What even is that? I don't even know at this point. I'm like, okay, I can't even. Then I try, okay, let's do some shading. Let's just fill it in, make it look right. No, still can't get it. And then I'm like, okay, dry it off, redo it. And then I'm like, okay, we're just going to redo the whole thing because I don't know. When I can't get it right, I just keep trying and trying and trying. And I went back with the green color and I just kind of filled in to thin out the shading lines because I think I was getting a little carried away. And I love how once I did the shading around the white pumpkin, it just pops. The stem pops, it just fills it in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what it needed. It's exactly what it needed was some more green around the white pumpkin. I love it. I love this. I love it, love it. So I'm just adding some more shading. And I'm trying to get that shadowing. Okay, so when I feel like I'm satisfied with my pumpkins, I cut out the words Hello Pumpkin on my Cricut, and I am using the Dollar Tree vinyl, and I reverse weeded it. So I weeded out the letters instead of, I threw away the letters instead of keeping the letters, which normally you weed around the letters. I did not want vinyl on this project. I wanted it to all be paint, so that way I didn't have to worry about anything peeling up or any of that. And I wanted to seal it. So I used my Dollar Tree vinyl and as a stencil. And then where the vinyl was cut a little close to the letters, I just used my, that tape there. What is it called? Oh my goodness, my mind went blank. I used that transfer tape to put on the edge of the vinyl so that none of the paint gets on the rest of my suitcase. And then I try to squirt out just a tiny bit of black, and then it goes everywhere. I wet my little sponge, and I got that sponge from Dollar Tree, and I offload the paint onto the paper towel, and then I just go to town pouncing. And the trick to this is you want to use less paint is more. You can always do multiple coats, which I didn't want to do, so I did put it on pretty heavy. But you just need to pounce up and down. Do not go sideways. Do not swipe it. Just make sure you are pouncing up and down, straight up and down. And then I go ahead and I take my stencil off while it's still wet. I was like, oh, I'm going to wipe that off. And then I'm like, no, you're going to take off the stencil. Why are you even worried about wiping that off? That was so dumb. I do dry it a little bit. And then I just very carefully peel it up. Do not touch anything else. Wipe your hands off, make sure that they're clean, and then take out the middle vinyl pieces. And then I go ahead and I dry this really, really well. make sure that it's completely dry before I put down my other stencil. Now, I just found this wording on Cricut Design Space. I did not create this myself. I found the wording on Cricut Design Space. I separated it by slicing it, and then I cut it out, and I am placing it in the position that I want it instead of how they had it on the design. Now, when you're putting down your vinyl, if you're going to use your vinyl as a stencil, make sure not to stretch it. You need to be very, very careful. Now, this vinyl, like I said, was from Dollar Tree, so it wrinkles up pretty easily. You have to make sure that it's really pressed down around the edges so that you don't get any bleed through, and make sure all the wrinkles are out. And I know that this vinyl for me is always really wrinkly, and it stretches very easily, so you really need to be careful when you're using it. And then I use the transfer tape, I cut it in pieces, and I put it around the entire stencil just to protect my edges. So I'm just following the same process. You want to pounce straight up and down. I did not offload as much this time because I barely had any paint on the table, and I was just using what was like in the, well, there just wasn't very much paint on the table. And then just make sure not to touch anything when you peel that back. I always peel it off wet, and there it is. Now, I did get a little bit of bleed through, and I just took my alcohol. I don't know if this is alcohol or acetone, honestly, but it's the Dollar Tree stuff. And I just touched it up. And then I just used a little bit of black paint and touched up where the transfer tape pulled up a little bit of paint. And then I just use my, I think it's fingernail polish remover, honestly. And I just clean up around the edges in just a few places. And then I add some more white where there was just a little bit of bleed through. And then I decide to go and add some highlighting around the letters. And I use the white. And this is actually Waverly's plaster. The green is Carriage House by Fusion. And the blue is a chalk paint that I have no idea. Anyway, I've had it for years and years and years. So I just continue to highlight around the letters, and I just do the right side of the letters. I don't do the whole letter, just you only want to do one side. I just love how that looks. So then I want to add some speckles to this. So instead of using a toothbrush, because I always make a huge mess, I thought I would just use my paintbrush, and guess what? I still made a huge mess. But I didn't get it as heavy, and I like that. Just a little bit of flex, and I used black and white. And I love, love, love how it turned out. I also removed the handle, and the reason I wrapped the handle in the first place was because it was all sticky for some reason. But using this fingernail polish remover, it took the sticky right off. So I just cleaned up the handle and I left it as is. I wasn't going to add a bow or anything. I love this suitcase. I love that it's orange, and I can't wait to set it by my fireplace. Now I am using, I believe this is Big Top, and I am sealing it with that. And I do give it 2 good coats of Big Top. And these little black brushes I actually got from Temu. I think they came in a pack of 3, and they're really nice. I like them a lot. And I've had them for months and months and months. Don't forget, guys, that today is the Hello Fall collaboration. I will have all the links to the playlist, to Ellie's channel, to Katie's channel listed down below in my description box, as well as pinned in my comments. And now it's time for the final reveal. So don't forget to let me know what you think. I hope you love this as much as I do. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. And I have some announcements coming up in my next video that I hope to get out next Thursday. So I have another video coming next week, and I will see you then. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you in the next one.